The end of Alexander Volkanovski is soon to come. After the Diego Lopez fight, he is most likely going to retire, win or lose, in Australia, and that's what it sounds like it's going to happen. Alexander Volkanovski is going to hang up the gloves. And what I want to talk about in this video is where since his career is closely coming to an end, where is Alexander Volkanovski in the all-time GOAT list? And Volkanovski is one of those fighters. He's like one of those guys where it's like a 50-50. Some people will say, oh yeah, Volk's not even top 5. Some people say, oh yeah, Volk's like literally like top 3. Could be easily number 2. Some people even think he's the GOAT. Very few people do think the Volk's the number 1 GOAT, depending on how you rank your top 15 greatest of all time. And in my opinion, Alexander Volkanovski, before at least, I mean, right now, I think Alexander Volkanovski, in my opinion, is number 3 greatest of all time. And before Islam Makhachev did win the welterweight belt against JDM, I had Volkanovski at number 2, and that's for plenty of reasons. The reason why I didn't put first off, I have Islam Makhachev at number 1 now. That's my go to the sport. I think Islam Makhachev is number 1 greatest of all time, and I didn't put Islam above Volk right away. I think that second belt just bypassed him, Volk, and GSP, because I think GSP is the number one greatest of all time, because John Jones is a PED cheat. Like I said before in other videos, I do not consider people who use PEDs and performance enhancing drugs in a sport. It should not count to them being the number 1 best of all time. It should not. That should cancel them out immediately. I had GSP at number 1, Volkanovski's my number 2, and Islam Makhachev, due to his big win streak, tying Anderson Silva with the highest win streak, and then him winning the second belt, I put him to number 1. But this makes Alexander Volkanovski, for me, number 3. And the reason, first off, I didn't put Islam Makhachev above Alexander Volkanovski before that fight is because, again, Islam Makhachev, and his lightweight title run was good, but the Volk wins he had, the first one, very close fight. Remember, it's a Volk that was featherweight that came up to lightweight. Islam Makhachev made it a very close fight, won the fight. Arguably, Volk won the fight to some people. Islam Makhachev, you can give it to either of them, I wouldn't complain. It was a close fight. Islam Makhachev won. And yeah, it was a really good first event. Again, he's the one that ended Alexander Volkanovski's win streak. And yeah, that's a good win, but still, it was Volkanovski who was literally coming up to lightweight. He was a featherweight, and yeah. Then the second Volkanovski fight, remember, short again. I know that people were gonna say excuses, but again, it was not a full camp. It was like not in. It was. I think Alexander Volkanovski was injured, and he was just not in shape going into that fight. He just wanted. He was so blinded by the fact how good he did in the first fight, where he just like, I need that second fight. I need that rematch. He took it. As soon as he found the chance to, he just wanted that second fight because he remembered how good he did in the first one. He just wanted that get back, and he just thinking about that too much, and it cost him. Got KO'd because of it. Now, again, another good win by Islam Makhachev. Would I say it's an all-time win? No, it's not. That Alexander Volkanovski faced? No, it wasn't. But still, great win, Islam Makhachev. And yeah, that's why I didn't put him above Volkanovski instantly, even though he did beat him twice. But now let me get into why Alexander Volkanovski is, first off, I think number 3 greatest of all time, and he's definitely in the top 3, and no one can tell me otherwise. First off, he's already the greatest featherweight of all time, not Jose Aldo. I don't care anyone says, oh, Jose Aldo, had so much more title defenses and all that stuff. Jose Aldo, he wasn't in his prime. Volk already beat him, and Jose Aldo was in his prime. It's just cope. Just the competition just got more better, and Alexander Volkanovski defeated Jose Aldo, and it's just facts. The competition was just way better. And Jose Aldo got beaten by Alexander Volkanovski. Simple as that. He was like 31 at the time, or like 32. He was in his prime, and again, let's actually get to the point of why Volk's number 3 greatest of all time. First off, he's come up. Chad Mendes, decent win. It's a good win. It's not just a decent. It's a good win. Chad Mendes coming up is a good win. Chad Mendes was good. Then after that, dominated Jose Aldo. Like I said, this was not a washed Jose Aldo. This was a prime Jose Aldo. Just the competition was better. Volkanovski was shown to be that good later on in his career. He beat a GOAT in Jose Aldo. The featherweight GOAT at the time was Jose Aldo. and he beat Jose Aldo pretty dominantly. Pretty dominantly through 3 rounds. I know it wasn't the most eventful fight, but he still beat Jose Aldo for 3 rounds in his fighting prime. And Aldo still showed, and after that, he looked very good. Aldo still showed in many fights that he was high level. And yeah, after that, he beat Max Holloway in the first fight. It was a really good performance by Volk in the first fight, and yeah, he won the belt, beating Max Holloway. I think he wasn't the one that took Holloway's big win streak. It was Dustin Poirier, but at featherweight, Volkanovski took his win streak. Big win for Alexander Volkanovski, and yeah. Then the second Max Holloway fight. Most people say it was a robbery. It was a very close fight. I could see Max Holloway winning that, but still, it was a very close fight. Could have gone either way. Alexander Volkanovski won that fight. Another great win. Another great win by Alexander Volkanovski. Beat Max Holloway in the rematch. And the win just aged very well. Max Holloway literally shows to this day like he's still high level. I think Max Holloway is literally entering like his prime, his fighting prime, and that's how good Max Holloway is. Max Holloway, when he fought Volk, I think he was still high level, very good. Max Holloway is, I think, very underrated when it comes to his skill. Like he's very good, and I think he's just entering his fighting prime now. Because even though he's lost to Poirier, doesn't mean he's washed. I think Topuria fought the best version of him. And Max Holloway is very good. He's very good. And this was what happened back then at the time of featherweight. This would happen. Volkanovski, he beat Max Holloway, and if you wanted to get a shot against Volkanovski, you'd have to go through Max Holloway. Max Holloway beat everyone through his path. If it wasn't Volkanovski, you'd be fighting Max Holloway, and Max Holloway would beat everyone. That Max Holloway was literally number one ranked in the division for so long. And then Volk was champ. That's how it was. And Volk was the only guy that can beat him in the division. Everyone else was losing to Max Holloway. And yeah, and then after that, he fought Brian Ortega. This was a good Brian Ortega in my opinion, but not the Brian Ortega now. I know the win hasn't aged the best, but Brian Ortega, his only loss was to Max Holloway. Again, not bad. It's not a bad loss. Max Holloway is very good. Literally, I think top 15. He's one of the top 15 greats. Losing to Max Holloway isn't bad. Brian Ortega, and he gave Volk a tough fight too. Brian Ortega caught him in 2 submission attempts. Brian Ortega is an incredible Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist, incredible Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist, and caught Volk in 2 dangerous submissions. One of them was a triangle. Volk got out of it. One of the guillotine. That was the most famous. As one of the most famous clips of Volk getting caught in the guillotine, escaped that and showed his freaking warrior in there. And then, yeah, brutalized Brian Ortega. Well, not brutalized, but dominated him for 5 rounds. Got that win. Then the Koreans. First up, the Brian Ortega win. Pretty good win. Actually, really good win in my opinion. At the time, Brian Ortega was a really good win. Then the Korean Zombie win. I don't rate this too highly. I mean, the Zombie is a name, but still. The Zombie's a name, but still, this is obviously a Korean Zombie that was out of his way, on his way out of his career. Korean Zombie wasn't known to be the most skilled guy, anyways. He was known for his wars and everything, but still, Korean Zombie is good enough to where he can give you problems. And Volkanovski, he put on a masterclass on him. He put on a masterclass on the Zombie. He just showed how much levels he was above him. Just destroyed him. TKO'd him in round 4, and then makes a quick turnaround to fight Max Holloway in their third fight. This was the best Volkanovski performance I've ever seen. Winning performance I've ever seen from Volkanovski. He absolutely because people were questioning in the second fight, oh yeah, Max Holloway beat Volkanovski. Max Holloway got schooled by Alexander Volkanovski in this third fight. As you can see, is the picture right here. You can see behind Mark Goddard, Max Holloway is covered. His full face is freaking bloodied and bruised. Volk destroyed him 50-45. Look at Volk's face. Only a little cut on his eyebrow. That's it. It's all Holloway gave him. Volk just schooled him. And this was again, Max Holloway 3 times. That right there. And Max Holloway is really top 15 greatest of all time, in my opinion. And Volk beat this guy 3 times. You can arguably say two times, because some people think he lost the second fight. I don't care what you guys think, honestly. You can think whatever you want if Volk won. It doesn't matter. If he won those 3 fights, in my opinion. And yeah, incredible win. Max Holloway 3 times is incredible. And yeah, and this the next fight, the Islam Makhachev fight. This was Alexander Volkanovski, I think, his second greatest performance, but it was a losing fight. He went up to lightweight. Everyone said Islam Makhachev was going to destroy him, and he showed that he how good he really was in his wrestling area, and he gave Islam Makhachev a tough fight. Gave him a very big, tough fight. And he lost the fight. I get it. He did lose, but come on. Put on an amazing performance, and his stock went up so much in that fight. And also, in my opinion, if Alexander Volkanovski beat Islam Makhachev that night, in my opinion, he honestly would have been the number one GOAT, in my opinion. He would have been the GOAT. Coming off that third Max Holloway win, already had a win against Jose Aldo, featherweight GOAT. His wins were amazing. Decent wins with Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie, stuff like that. He would have been the GOAT. Plus the double champ. He would have been featherweight and the lightweight champ. Big win streak. Volk would have been the number one GOAT. And he was already pound for pound number one at the time. It would not be a stretch to say he would be the GOAT, the number one best. And if he just yeah, it's crazy. Volk just did a bit more in that fight. He could have been the number one greatest of all time, honestly. And yeah, he lost, but then he comes back against Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez was a dangerous fighter in the featherweight division coming up at the time. I think only losses were to Max Holloway. I'm pretty sure at the top. Again, everyone loses to Max Holloway, but he beat Brian Ortega. I know it was due to an injury. He already beat the Korean Zombie. He who else did he fight? Submitted Josh Emmett when Josh Emmett was in the top 5, and Josh Emmett was on his run for a bit. So yeah, Yair Rodriguez was a good and tough opponent for Volkanovski, and then he comes, and then in that fight, Volkanovski just dominates him. Volkanovski TKOs Yair Rodriguez in round 3. Incredible performance. And yeah, then after that, takes the Islam Makhachev fight on short notice, gets head kicked, knocked out, then comes back months later, fights Ilia Topuria back to featherweight. Topuria KOs him. And yeah, that just shows right there that those losses for Volkanovski have aged well. They've aged very well. They're the pound for pound number 2 fighters right now. That's crazy. That is very crazy. And the thing is, Volkanovski didn't get dominated by these guys. He gave Islam Makhachev in his first fight a very tough fight, and some people thought he won. Ilia Topuria, people are like, oh yeah, we all knew that Topuria was gonna beat Volkanovski going in because he was washed. No, Volkanovski, people were saying people were forgetting how good Volkanovski was in that fight with Topuria until he got KO'd. He was winning the 2 rounds. Volkanovski was looking very good. He was giving Ilia a run for his money in the first 2 rounds until the KO happened. And you know what? I honestly think Volk can still beat Ilia if Ilia moved back down to 145. If they fought, if you just stay away, and in that fight, I think he has to be very shy of the knockout though. He has to be keep a lot of distance in that fight and not really do much. I think he'd have to I think Volk would have to play a lot of defensive game in that match. So it wouldn't be the most amusing, but I still think he'd actually beat Ilia Topuria. And yeah, then he comes back a year later after losing the belt, fights Diego Lopez for the vacant title, and yeah, has an amazing fight with Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez is a freaking beast. Diego Lopez is a beast. He showed on his rise to the UFC. He is just that guy. Diego Lopez, I think, will be the next featherweight champion easily after Alexander Volkanovski retires, or if he beats him in their next fight. Like I said, I think Lopez is gonna beat him in their next fight. Because I already made my prediction in my other video when that fight got announced. I think Lopez is gonna probably KO maybe in round 2. God, I hate doing this on a video on where I'm saying Volk is probably top 3 greatest of all time. That's not a really good thing to say, but still, like I said, Volk is entering the end of his career, and yeah, Lopez is still very high level. Lopez is freaking good, and I think he's the next best featherweight after Volkanovski leaves. And yeah, in the first fight he beat Diego Lopez, and then he was a 2-time featherweight champion. He won the second belt. I mean, not the second belt, but he won his second featherweight title, and that also has to play a good factor into it as well. People writing him off as being, oh yeah, this guy's old, he's gonna get destroyed by Lopez. He comes back a year later, I think at 36 or 37, and it has a war with Diego Lopez who like I said, I think is the next best featherweight, and wins pretty clearly. Volk is the top 3 greatest of all time. His resume is amazing. He has the title. He has the accolades to prove it. 2 featherweight belts, beat 2 of the so-called featherweight greatest goats of all time. And both those guys are in like most people's top 15 greatest fighters of all time. And the way he did it was absolutely insane. One of them, Max Holloway, did it 3 times. His resume is very underlooked, in my opinion, very underrated, and I still think a very underrated fighter today. Volkanovski is that good, and it's going to be sad when we see him retire. Hopefully, I hope he beats Diego Lopez in the rematch and he stays, because I'd like to see him fight a Movsar Evloev. And if he beats a Movsar, I wanted him to fight Movsar because it would just do so much better. It would just do so much more for his legacy, and I think that's like such a good fight. I think Volk would win that fight too. After seeing the Islam Makhachev performance up a weight class with a much bigger guy, I'd love to see how he would do it with in the wrestling with Movsar. I think he'd beat him, and it would be a new fresh fight. Takes Movsar's 19-0 record, and that just do so much better for Volk's resume. The Diego Lopez fight is good. If he beats Diego Lopez again, I think people are like saying, "Oh yeah, it won't do anything for his legacy much." I think it will a tiny bit because Lopez, like I said, is still very freaking good and at really high level. But yeah, I put Volk at number 3 in my GOAT list. He's definitely in the top 5. No, like I don't know how people do not have Volk in their top 5. He honestly has like his whole career. Like look back at his whole career, he's literally top 5 material now, no doubt about it. I can't believe people don't even have him in their top 5. Volk is absolutely amazing and I still think a very underrated fighter in my opinion, and literally like one of the greatest to ever do it. Greatest featherweight of all time. And yeah. Well, that is the end of my video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.